What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Replay. I am Andrew Reiner. For the next 4 weeks, we're going to be doing something special. We're going to be reflecting on what Game Informer has declared the 300 greatest games of all time. We're going to be looking at one of those today. A pick from our editor-in-chief, Andy McNamara. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Reiner, what's up?
Not much. Got Joe Jubo. He's going to be playing.
Hey.
And Kyle Hilliard is here as well.
I'm here as well.
And then hidden away in a little room is Leo Vader.
Hello.
Oh, I put on your NPR voice for us. Thank you, Leo.
So we've played through Super Metroid in its entirety in a Super Replay.
Yeah.
But we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the 300 list in general and this game and the importance to you, Andy. You say, and I quote, Metroid is your favorite game of all time, but Super Metroid is a better game.
Correct.
Explain that.
It's weird that he talks in third person.
Yeah. I usually have Reiner do all the talking for me. It's just because Metroid to me was, I always point to, I played games since I was, as long as I can remember, actually. I don't really remember a time when I wasn't playing some kind of game. Though when I did first start playing games, I played them like on a terminal to a supercomputer, right? That would be like a joke compared to your phone these days. And played games that would be an ASCII, which would be like the Enterprise was an E, the Klingons would be a K, a sun would be an asterisk, and your field of space would be just periods. So that's where I started, but I played and I loved the 2600. I was a huge fan of ColecoVision. I played a ton of Intellivision. I was just a game head even from the beginning. But when the games crashed in '83, I was like, oh, okay, I guess games are done. And then
games are over now, and it was true.
It was true.
What did you do at that moment when that realization sunk in? Like,
well, I've said before, it was at first I went to the Walgreens or whatever in my neighborhood, and I was like, oh my God, all these games are on sale for like $1. This is amazing.
Was it like that scene from Cable Guy where all the televisions go out and it shows everyone in their homes slowly turn over and pick up books?
You don't need to describe it, Kyle. We all know exactly what
Yeah.
scene from the Cable Guy you're talking about. Yeah.
I just see Andy with like a comical stack of games, Atari games, walking out of the Walgreens like this is the greatest day of my life.
I was hyped.
Not realizing it's one of the worst days.
Correct.
Buy low, sell high.
And then you slowly realize that it's just that they were all on clearance and they're gone, and there's just no stores that are going to carry games anymore. And
so it was like a couple of years then, right? Like where it was just
it wasn't,
nothing really.
And Nintendo happened, and I wasn't really paying attention either. I was just being a kid, and but I had a friend in the neighborhood who was one of the lucky people who got one of the early NESs from New York or LA, because it did launch in limited quantities here in the US, just in those two markets, and started playing, and I was like, all right, this is pretty cool, and kind of it got me back into the arcades a little bit every once in a while at that point, where at the same time too, you'd see Donkey Kong in like a restaurant, you'd play Donkey Kong. It's not like there weren't games, it just there weren't home games, and then we started playing Metroid, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. The map, this and Zelda, essentially the original Zelda, blew my mind. And so I played a ton of Metroid, and, I used to be able to, before there was speed running, I would have thought I was fast, right? And I was good at this game. And obviously after watching speed running, I know for a fact I am not. But that was always my favorite. But Metroid is good, but Super Metroid is way better. You know what I mean? It's just the graphics are significantly better, the play is better, the design is better, but that's why I give props to the OG, but I know that this one is overall a more polished experience.
And this came out April 14th, 1994. A team of 15 people made this game, which was significant back in the day.
Yeah, that would be a big team.
And you didn't play it in the English version first, right? Like, you were such a fan of the first two. There was a second one on Game Boy.
Yes.
That you imported the Japanese version.
Well, I spent Game Informer money to import. And let me tell you, that's a pretty easy decision to make.
Did you guys have Japanese Super Nintendos, or did you have to do that thing where you modified them? Like
No, we had
snap off
one.
Pieces? Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Super Famicom. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually like, my first experience with the Super Nintendo would have been, this was when I worked still at Funko. I wasn't working at Game Informer full time at that point. I was still kind of off and on. I convinced them, I was like, people are going to want to see it in your store, so buy a Famicom. So I convinced them to buy Super Mario and the Famicom when it came out, Super Famicom, and I was like, oh, you should put it in my store. And then I sat in my store all night.
Oh, sorry, we're closed today.
And I played Super Mario World.
So you worked an 8-hour shift,
and then
you stay at the store in the back room. And play
and
games.
just hope that no one got mad that I never closed the store, because I would just sit in there all night.
You would really leave it open too?
Well, not leave it open. I mean, I would, but I mean, I think they wanted me to like lock up and leave.
Yeah, I don't think they like it when you stay overnight.
And
How many times did you yell to someone through the window, "We're closed"?
You know what? I don't think I was paying a lot of attention to anyone.
Yeah, you had a Super Nintendo.
I mean, I was pretty much wrapped up in Super Mario World, which is, simply one of the best Mario games ever. So, but yeah, I was excited. So I think we had that exact same Famicom as the one that I think Game Informer was using at that time. Would have been the one that they had bought for the stores back then.
And you say the Japanese version is superior.
Because
there's one difference.
There's one difference. That's the only thing, and that is that it has it has red blood versus green blood, right?
Right.
So it's a silly reason to say that it's superior, but and this is also, by the way, this game we did not give a 10 to, because this is back in the day when we did not believe, Reiner and I did not believe in 10s. A
game could never be perfect. There was that line of thinking, right?
Are you talking about Metroid or about Super Mario World?
All games.
Oh, okay.
We didn't give any games 10s back then.
Yeah.
Someone eventually convinced us, like, you got to use the whole spectrum to like highlight things. But I mean, I still believe, I get real nervous whenever we give a 10, even to this day. They still make me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Because no game is perfect. But it's good that we do it, I guess. I don't know. It's like I said, it bothers me, but overall, I agree with the decision.
Did you ever personally give a 10 yourself when you were still doing more reviews and stuff?
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. What would that have been? I mean,
Twilight Princess, I think.
Did you do Tony Hawk? Tony Hawk 2?
God, you guys are going to ask me about old reviews. I don't remember.
Yeah, what did you write in those? Do you remember your closing paragraph for Pro Skater 2?
Man, I have trouble remembering what I wrote like last month.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of I'd have to look around. I mean, I would think, and like I loved Metroid Fusion later. I thought that was a great game, and I also played into my love of Metroid. And that's the thing I loved about this game in particular. It was, I always felt like one of the things I'd say about it was an RPG where no one spoke.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really interesting, that you traveled and you went and you got better and you explored and you did things and you ran into monsters and things like that. But kind of got rid of all those annoying, like, bad writing and everything, and just stuck to kind of the action and the fun.
Yeah, the pacing never slows. I mean, I guess you could get lost and stuff like that, but it is just constant, like all about discovery and powering up. That's one of the beauties of the RPG genre, is that pursuit of power, and few games do it better than Metroid, right? Like, not just now I have more missiles, but I have an entire new ability that opens up entire new sectors in the game.
Yeah, and it plays into my, like, I'm definitely a grinder as far as like experience games, and like leveling games and things like that. So, you're like, oh, I could beat this boss with, 50 missiles, but it sure is a lot more fun to beat him with 99.
I want to jump in here real quick to just say, because we're about coming to the end of where this is going on, but like one of the awesome things about the intro of this game specifically, Andy talks about sort of like being an RPG or like a narrative without a lot of dialogue, is that like this game sets such a great atmosphere early on by this sense of like abandonment and like desolation of this planet that is, you've been here before, you knew it was full of things, and suddenly there's nothing there. And now this screen is the first time that you get here, and it's like, oh god, there are space pirates. Like, it has that sense of like, I don't know, I guess I don't know exactly the right way to say it, but just like that creepy like sense of foreboding before the actual enemies show up.
Yeah, it does a nice job of, like Andy said, telling a story without actually having any words. Like, it builds, there's drama to it. I love the back of the box, by the way.
What?
The keynote that they have bullet point is 24 megs of action.
Well, that was
Remember that? That was like a big thing.
a
Like
big deal back
they'd even
then,
put it on
yeah.
the front of boxes, like
Yeah.
how
How
many
many-
megs?
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
that's how much data was on the cartridge? Is that what they're...
essentially
Yeah.
it was just they told us how much data it had, and we were like, okay, that makes it good.
What?
This was the largest when it came out.
Well,
at
it
24.
wasn't. It wasn't a big. Like I think Strider was one of the early games that did that. That we were like, no way. I think it was a way that we thought, to push the graphics in particular.
And nowadays it's like, this game has a 25 gigabyte day one patch. This must be really good.
Yeah, they don't put that on the front of the box.
And now it's just frustrating. Now we see file size and we're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's not the thrill it once was. But games are way different now. I think that's what's so great about Metroid and these old games is that they're pretty timeless. I mean, I feel like this game is still going to be good 100 years from now. Where games that are online and persistent, I mean, they literally will die while Metroid lives on.
Now, Joe, this is one of your favorites too.
Oh yeah, this is like way up there. I don't know. I haven't had to think about like placement in a long time, but like this game is for sure like a top five game for me.
Yeah, and next week, by the way, editor top 10s will be going out. So you can see where all these games place on our personal list.
Yeah, so you got to make that decision, Joe. I don't
Yeah.
know if you know that. They have a
Which I'm
deadline.
finding is just as difficult and time consuming as coming up with 300 as a staff. Like I just keep changing entries. Like
Yeah, the nice
Yeah.
thing about 300, you can blame someone else if someone doesn't like an entry.
There we go.
so, Joe, where were you when you first played this one?
Man, I don't remember the specific time I first played it, but I remember that I did not have a Super Nintendo like around the time that it came out, because I remember having to go to like my local video store and rent it, like rent the Super Nintendo and a couple games. Pretty much, I wouldn't do it every weekend, but like every weekend that my parents would allow me to. And this was one of those where it's like I would always rent Super Metroid if it was on the shelf. Regardless of, even after I beat it. It was always like, oh, Super Metroid's there, that game's good, and then I just like start playing it again.
That was such a satisfying feeling going to the rental store. Like they didn't have games in quantities like they had movies, right?
Yeah.
There was like one or two of a new release. And I remember wanting to rent DuckTales for months.
Yep.
I kid you not, like months. And like my parents would drive to the store, like on a Saturday, every other Saturday or something like that. And I'd just run right over to that shelf and it would be checked out. The clear plastic case that would hold the game behind it was gone, and I would just be so disappointed.
But at least your video store had a plastic case for it that you would be like, oh, they have DuckTales and it's just not here. Like, I never really had a full comprehension of what my video store even had. It was just whatever box was on the shelf, that means it was there.
that was
How did you make
video
it to an
store?
adult living that kind of life, Joe?
What's that?
How did you make it to an adult living that kind of life?
I know.
mean, that's tough.
I've really struggled, but persevered also. I'm a hero, is what I'm saying.
It's weird that our kids will never
Uh-oh.
know, like, the idea of, like, oh, this game's not available. Oh, you want to watch this thing? You can't. Like, that concept just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It's so funny too, like these old 8-bit games. Again, because we have new 8-bit games that have crazy 8-bit art and crazy 8-bit animations. By the way, you kind of forget how. I mean, that guy's walking animation is bad.
But there's kind of a beauty to it,
Yeah,
almost
there
like
is.
stop motion. Like
I love this guy.
He's a robot or something.
I don't know how to
but stand motionless is Samus. Like after
hold
you
on.
get your stuff, yeah.
Yeah, her animations are amazing.
But yeah, just that little kind of
It's a small
shimmer.
movement.
I always wondered about that. It's like, is she breathing? Is there like some kind of fluid on her?
I think she's just fidgety.
Yeah, I remember like really enjoying, like getting excited about when I'd get to like an elevator, because it's like, oh, I get that cool like front on view of Samus now. Kind of lame, but
And another reason I always remember to throw out Metroid is a great one. I mean, there was no internet, right, and all these other things. Like, so to understand, I was literally blown away when
literally, okay.
yeah, I mean, it was when I found out Samus was a female at the end of the first Metroid. I I had no clue, and I was completely caught off guard, and I was like, that is unbelievable. I loved putting in, what is Justin Bailey?
Oh,
My memory, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And playing...
The password, yeah.
Playing as Purple Samus.
But that was a way of kind of cheating, right? Like, because you'd get more power-ups, all that stuff at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it was a cool way, like...
It was a cool way to
New
play the
Game
game.
Plus.
Yeah.
You know, like, before that existed.
I remember knowing about the Justin Bailey code before I knew that, before I'd beaten the game. So really what that meant for me was that I thought it was an alternate character. Like, I thought there was the boy and the girl characters that you could be in Metroid.
Yeah, no, I think that's something I think a lot of people were confused by, I guess, to some degree. And also too, like I whenever I play a new Metroid, I'm like, will they ever do any kind of cool non-suit versions? Though nowadays, like with Prime and things like that, the suit has really become its own star.
Yep. You got to keep the suit.
Yeah.
Although, man, that'd be a cool twist where you have absolutely nothing. Not just like no power-ups, but no protection, nothing.
Well, you could be more of an android, right? Where all the suit powers are,
Oh.
you know what I mean, a part of the character. I'm just saying there would be solutions you could do some interesting kind of old school twists.
Or you could like
with a
have
modern
everything
Metroid.
with you, and you have to wait until someone calls you and tells you that you can use it.
Shut up.
Other M does that.
Yeah, that I remember when Phil was playing that game here in the office. I would walk into the office in the morning and he was playing it in the conference room, and it would just make me mad all day long. I was just angry and upset, and
I will, not to derail the Super Metroid conversation, but I will defend certain elements of Other M. We don't have to do it right now.
No,
but-
or ever.
Well, with that bad take, Kyle, is Super Metroid on your top 10 list?
How
about Other M?
Other M's like number 2. No, Super Metroid's not in my top 10, but that isn't to say... It would probably be on my top 50, maybe?
Wait, how many Zelda games are on your top 10?
Just
before
one.
Super
all
Metroid?
Zeldas.
Just
Okay.
one. I kind of try to... I've thought about this a lot, because we're thinking about our personal top 10s, and I'm not comfortable putting multiple franchises on my top 10. Like,
Is
there's
it-
one Zelda on there.
Is it Breath of the Wild? Can you spoil that?
No,
It isn't? Okay.
It's not Breath of the Wild. Though I do love that game. I was late to Super Metroid. I actually picked up Super Metroid was my first Metroid, and I played it because I think it was EGM. They put together a best games of all time list, and they had listed Super Metroid as their number 1 game. And I was like, oh, I guess I should go play this. And I was like in high school. I think I went and tracked it down, and that was the first time I played it. And then I went and played Fusion and Zero Mission and Prime and all that stuff. Like, I went down through the whole series, and I've gone back and played Super Metroid through at least one other time, and I really love it. I think it's great, but it didn't really have like it doesn't have like a legacy for me because I didn't play it when I was young. It didn't really develop my taste in games necessarily. I just played it later and recognized that this is really a great game.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hard parts too. When we talked about it for the 300 list, is like, nostalgia certainly plays a role in everything that you see, and what you remember and when you played it. But I think it's hard to argue that this isn't timeless over and above our own love.
Well, just the fact that I came back to it so late. Like, I had been playing 64 and I think even maybe PlayStation 2 games at that point.
Yeah.
And I still had a great time playing Super Metroid.
And the original one was, I believe, directed by Gunpei Yokai, creator of Game Boy as well, right?
and Virtual Boy.
And sadly, he passed away. But he also worked in a producer role on Super Metroid. But it was directed by Sakamoto, who was the old balloon fight designer, who was given a shot to take up the lead role on this. And again, like I said, 15 people worked on it. Nintendo knew they had a huge franchise in their hands. And it still, to this day, bugs me that we had that gap where it was just like they didn't know what to do with this series.
Yeah.
Yet it seems like it should be just as significant as Mario or Zelda, right?
And it's also so weird that, like, in the interim, like, as Nintendo waits to figure out what to do with Metroid, everyone else is like out Metroiding Metroid. You have the the Castlevania games, those 2D things. Recently, you have like Axiom Verge, which is the best Super Metroid since Super Metroid.
Well, we got Metroid Sports Ball. We all wanted that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they definitely were
Team
letting
Ninja
it die on the vine to a degree. And I think that's the thing too. I always thought when they made Prime, and I don't love all the Primes equally, but you were like, oh, they found a way to kind of split Prime up into two different kind of areas where you can go back and forth, and we can do an FPS one, and we can go do a 2D one, and like Metroid's going to be a thing. And then it's kind of like, is it ever really a thing? I can't ever really tell if it is with Nintendo or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder where that ranks on their list. Like Mario's number 1, Zelda's number 2. Is it there neck and neck with like Donkey Kong and some of those other games, or is it like in my mind it's number 3 as a gamer, right? Like all those are held in the same breath, but I really do wonder how Nintendo thinks about this series.
Well, I mean, Namco's doing 4, right? That's the
that's the
rumor.
Yeah.
I don't know one way or the other. Nintendo's certainly a place I don't know a whole lot of information about, but it's kind of one of those things again where they're having someone else do it. Where I've always made the joke too. I mean, you could have. Well, in this case, it's Prime, so it's a little bit bigger endeavor, but I think you could have taken Metroid and given it to these guys who are like these indie guys who are killing it. Like you said, Joe, making Metroid-like games. You could have worked. They would have died to work with Nintendo and make 2D Metroids.
Sonic Mania type of thing.
Yes, exactly. And I think they could have done some things along that line to keep it fresh.
I mean, for what it's worth, I think what they did with Mercury Steam for Samus Returns, I think came out really well. I think that game's awesome.
But do a new one.
Yeah, doing for sure. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know why they're tiptoeing around the 2D Metroid.
People say that's new.
Samus Returns feels like a brand new Metroid game for sure. But I know, you can't escape that sort of like technically a remake.
I just my problem with that game is just it's got just so many mini boss fights, and I don't feel it's as the world is as interesting as other Metroids have been. I mean, it does have some cool powers and things like that, but I would have preferred. I think it's like a different game, but it's fun. It's good. I like it.
I would like to see Mercury Steam do a 2D Metroid. Like I would, now that they've done the remake and they've shown that they have this sort of baseline, like let them work with them and let them do a full brand new one. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah, they're a good studio. I still would like it to be internal at Nintendo.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about that studio and the level of polish that comes from those games that is unrivaled in the industry.
The director of Super Metroid was fully involved with Samus Returns.
But
he was
also
there.
Other M, right?
Yes.
I mean, I guess all I'm saying is that like it's Reiner says, I wonder where like Nintendo stands on this. I think it says a lot about where Nintendo stands on a franchise when they are willing to not do it in-house, regardless of what staff they put on to oversee it. Like when they say, it's okay if someone else works on this.
Yeah, like what? I guess what you guys like. Why not let those Breath of the Wild guys take a Zelda break and like make a Metroid game or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like take an internal studio and get them away from whatever they've been head down working on for so many years and let them do Metroid for a while.
What? Oh, great.
I mean, if they want to. I mean, that thing is, I don't want anybody to do Metroid that doesn't want to do Metroid.
Yeah.
I mean, and I also don't want Breath of the Metroid.
You sure?
I kind of do.
I don't even know that game.
An open world Metroid game? Are you kidding?
They're pretty much already open world.
I mean, you could have an open world game. I just worried that like whenever you shot your plasma gun, it would break.
Yeah, I can't wait for my charge gun to run out of juice.
Be like, oh, you've got a new suit, but it doesn't work anymore.
The clothing in Breath of the Wild doesn't break, you guys.
I can't wait to cook up all these space pirates individually for 10 minutes when I need some food.
I like seeing how far we can push Kyle about Breath of the Wild.
Oh, Andy likes to come to my desk and do it all the time.
I just keep trying to love Breath of the Wild, and I do not love Breath of the Wild.
So you can fast travel, but you can't bring your suit along with you.
That's not a thing in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, you can't bring your horse along.
You have a hang glider that Super Metroid.
You have a hang glider.
Is one of the best games ever made.
If you're wondering where it is on our list, it's at number 20 out of the top 300. Leo, you're one of the youngest on staff. What is your experience with Super Metroid?
You want to get mad? This may be my first time seeing somebody play
my God!
What the hell?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
okay.
Well,
it happens.
What are you thinking right now?
It looks cool. Like, I did a lot of stuff with the Samus Returns, a lot of video content about it, and this looks more interesting to me than that did. Like, I'm more interested in playing this than
Oh,
Samus
great.
Returns.
What was
it is better than Samus Returns.
What was your first console?
My first console,
If you say PC.
original Xbox.
Okay.
I played a lot of games on my Mac before then.
Like
Black and white Mac or color?
Color.
Marathon.
They had the Tony Hawk games. That's all I needed.
You played Tony Hawk on Mac?
Yeah, on keyboard. Really? Yeah.
I did not know that such a thing existed.
Spacebar was jump, C was flip, V was grind, B was grab.
You know, for the first
That's
time,
amazing.
through most steps in life, I'm like, I don't like getting old. But now I'm glad I'm old and I got to experience these things and not play Tony Hawk on Mac. It's my first
So
time.
is it one of those iMacs that had like the pink ones, the blue ones, and the like green ones with the like
the
clear?
color back?
That
Like they kind of look like a little.
Buy.
They look like little Pac-Mans, kind of.
I had a G4 tower.
Oh, a tower.
Oh.
Oh, I bet Tony Hawk ran the best.
I
on
bet it
that.
sang on that beast.
Yeah. Huh.
I just
I
can't even believe that game came out on Mac.
I can't either.
Or that anyone played.
4 was the last one that did. None of the underground.
4 came out.
Whoa.
None of
Four
the
was good.
undergrounds. Yeah, they.
Yeah, Thug was too good for Mac.
Joe.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this game a little bit, just mechanically.
Yeah.
I'm still can't speak anymore about. This show may be over.
We should do a "You're Doing It Wrong" segment where Leo plays Tony Hawk with a keyboard on Mac.
That'd be great.
So yeah, I mean, right now we're up against this boss who I guess I always fight him, but apparently, you know, in the sort of speed running communities of this game, apparently this boss is optional. But yeah, I mean, you do him, you get some. We're gonna get some super missiles. I mean, I think what makes this game the real like step up above the previous one is the progression of items. Like the last game had that, but I think this game is where they really nail that sense of like not only guns but different sort of mobility powers and stuff that make you excited to like go and explore a new area and see what things you can reach that you couldn't reach before and stuff like that.
And also like clearly teasing new areas. Like, oh man, I need to get up there. Whereas the original, it was there was a couple areas like that, but it was a lot of hidden stuff that you would end up uncovering, right?
Yeah.
But this would be
Whereas
like, I know I'm going to be able to get up there eventually. I can't even fathom what power would get me up there, but
yeah, exactly. Or when you see a door that's orange, and you're like, I know it opens red doors, but not orange doors or green doors. Just that knowledge that like, okay, there's something to find there later, I think is.
Yeah, and these early games had a weird thing for me. I loved the maps that people would make, like, like either in like Nintendo Power or whatever, where you would see a map of the whole world, or like eventually they could kind of pack them in, but you could see where all the secrets were, where all the missiles were. It was fun to like look over those maps and go like, oh, I missed this missile, and then go try to find it or whatever. I thought that was cool back in the day.
Yeah.
did you make your own map? Did you draw it out on graph paper at all?
Yeah, I did. I did for a while. I mean, I think I mostly memorized these, but we worked on a map for this game.
That's right. We did it in the magazine.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, my first time playing this was obviously with Game Informer as well. I might have taken it home, the Japanese one, after you were done with that.
Yeah, which was like back in the old day when you'd like move the screen over and then take a screenshot, then move the screen over and then take a screenshot. Back when like we needed screenshot taking technology, that was a thing. Yeah, it was crazy.
And to kind of go back to your earlier talk about giving 10s as scores, Andy and I have a pretty cool history of when a great game comes in that we would consider one of the greatest of all time, like Res Evil 4. I played it all night, like finished that game in basically a day and a half, and then handed it off to Andy, like, you gotta play this game. And he did the same thing. Joe, you were a part of that with God of War when that came in the office.
Yeah, when we were here like all night playing that.
When you and I were playing it, then all of a sudden Andy's there with us, sitting there with us. And he never touched the 6, but he wanted to see that game through, right? So he sat there with us.
That was a cool
that
game.
whole journey.
Yeah, it was a fun game.
But those are the games right? Like, there's something really special to this. Those are the ones that usually get those 10s, right? that are deserving of it and are still in the top 100, to this day. I would say all those games.
Yeah, I think part of the trick for me when it comes to like deciding, I'm also an advocate of like using the 10 rather than holding it up as some like unattainable ideal. And part of
I do not give that jump a 10.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
We're reviewing Joe's performance.
No, we're not.
This is his employee review.
Oh, great. For me, it boils down to like you obviously can't, like, when you're playing a game that's new, can't say like, oh, in the years to come, this is going to be like remembered as a classic. You don't have the benefit of hindsight. But for me, I always try to think about like all of the 10s are games that I know will like that color the way I look at games in the future. The things that you just feel like for your personal experience with games are like, it's different now that you've played it. Like God of War was one of those for me.
And a slightly different subject, but more of a personal note. What are some of the games that you guys are glad got on the list but didn't think had a shot? For me, it was Ace Combat, The Unsung War. I love those games. I think they represent the pinnacle of aerial combat, dogfighting on console, more so than like Rogue Squadron or other games of that ilk. Is there a game on there that you brought up and you're like, oh no, this is going to die like as soon as I say it, or it's going to get shot down?
Yeah.
But you're surprised it made it?
Mine is Valkyrie Profile, which...
That got a lot of support in the office.
Yeah, I don't even think I was the one who brought it up because I was like, okay, I should probably save this for a later discussion when things are a little like, I don't want to jump this on too early. And someone else was like, Valkyrie Profile. And yeah, people were sort of nodding, and I was just like, shut up, don't jinx it.
In these meetings, you get so in your head, like you're saying, like, okay, is this a good window to bring this up?
Yeah.
How's everybody feeling right now? We've been going a couple hours.
Yeah, there's some political process to it. There certainly is.
What about you guys, Kyle or Leo or Andy? Is there...
Mine was, I would say, the two Playdead games, Limbo and Inside. I thought that might be a little bit of a fight to get those on there, especially
Both
Inside.
or one or the other?
Both. Like, I wanted to see Inside on there in particular over Limbo if I had to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought because it's so kind of recent, it might be like a fight. But it was another one of those that it was actually, I missed the meeting where it was discussed and it was already on there for the next meeting. And I was like, oh, great. I don't need to bring this up because I would love to see it continue to be on there.
I like that. I'd like to bring up a game that's already on the list and
I just want to make sure
it.
everyone knows that I'm behind everyone's decision.
I agree with whoever put it on the list.
It was a good choice.
For me, it was Splinter Cell Blacklist. I didn't know if that was going to get recognized, but there was a lot of support for it.
Yeah, that was the modern...
Yeah, I thought that was a weird entry.
That was the kind of the redefined version of Splinter Cell, right, for the new generation.
Yeah,
For the
peak of it.
For the people who grew up playing Tony Hawk on Mac.
On Mac.
You could have guns in it, guys. It's crazy.
You had like a control stick? Oh, it changed everything.
I was happy to see. I always think it's like Bloodborne and things like that, which I knew was going to make it. But it's always interesting how they end up sitting and how, like you said, those kind of modern games battle it out with kind of the older stuff.
Yeah. I mean, kind of what I was saying before, though, too, is like, there's no way to like have the benefit of retrospect and say like, oh, well, this game's going to be a classic. So you just have to go with like, well, right now we think this game is great. And let's just put it on there with no reservations.
Well, I mean, every game goes on with some reservation.
You know what I mean? Without regrets.
Yeah.
Because like I remember when we did our 200 list, I felt that way. I felt that we were putting Batman Arkham Asylum on there like
yeah, you were mad about that.
Yeah, I did not think that game should be on there. And it turns out that I was, proven wrong over time. But
well, I mean, you were proven wrong back then. But yes, yeah, over time we became more correct. Yes.
Thank you for humbling clarification.
Yeah. I also really like just kind of looking around. We're all kind of sitting in a circle as we're discussing these things, and someone would bring up something like Warlords, and that seems like a game like maybe it's too old, maybe it wouldn't get a lot of support, but just seeing people's faces, just this look of like blown away, like when they remember what Warlords is, and just everybody being enthusiastic about that. That was really cool. Like, just so much love for games in those meetings.
Yeah.
Yes, there was arguments and discussions about which one should get on or why one game shouldn't, and someone else is vehemently saying it should.
Yeah, but it's not all contentious. There's a lot of just like
nodding heads. Yeah.
Nice trips down memory lane during those meetings too. Like I always after those meetings just want to go home and like I wish I just had a pocket of like, you know, a free 24 hours to just sit and just like play a bunch of the games I was thinking about and wanted to replay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, the list is fun. I mean, it's fun to make. It's fun to argue about it. I mean, it gets old because we're all like tired of each other by the end of it. But I mean, it is a lot of fun, and it is fun to reminisce about games, and it's also hilarious when you're like, so King's Quest better than Super Monkey Island? I mean, it's like it's just a ridiculous question, kind of overall, to try to put those things against each other, but we tried, and we actually had those ridiculous conversations.
And the 300th issue is out there now. You can check it out on digital or the print edition. We made sure every entry has text, so you know why it's there. I remember Andy and I were looking back at issue 200, which we thought we knocked out of the park back in the day, and we were like, this is great. We love the list. But today, looking back at 200, I looked on there and there was NHL 09 on there with no text on it. And I was like, I have no idea why this game is here.
It's just trust us. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean...
So we corrected that error.
We've made a lot of bad decisions over the years. We made a lot of good decisions. We made some bad ones, and you kind of go with what you think. I mean, we were trying to make it fit and try to make a regular issue. And I think that's what you saw in this one, was we were like, okay, we're not going to try to make a regular issue. We're going to focus on making sure that the top 300 is done well.
Gave it more space.
Gave it more space, and just kind of concentrated on it. And that was a change. But you're always, I mean, it is funny when Joe would come to my office as we were leading. He was like, we gonna have reviews? And I'm like, I don't know. We may not have reviews. And then Miller would be like, we're doing previews. I'm like, we're definitely not doing previews. Sorry, dude.
We're looking at the past this much. Screw the future.
I had like a beautiful mind like moment with like just a notepad of different numbers on it and stuff, trying to figure out how many entries should be on a page. And I was doing that based on the 200 list, but I didn't realize, like, I totally forgot that we changed the paper size.
Oh, yeah.
So that would change everything. That changed all of our character counts for, you know, the issues moving forward. So it's just like, I should just throw this stuff away. But then Andy and I sat down and really kind of hammered out, like, how many entries should be on a page, how many pages it should be in total. I think it turned out really well. I would love to see your comments, you know, on Game Informer and YouTube. Let us know what you think of the list. What games you'd want to see on there as well. And let's get to some snubs. Let's talk about some games that we wanted to get on the list, but didn't make it. But we're going to play a different game while we talk about this. Let's move on to that. All right, Andy, this is one of your favorites. Not this version.
No, this is
the
definitely
original.
not this version.
Kicks.
Did not make that clear enough. Andy hates this version.
I don't hate that. I don't even know what this. I didn't even know this existed until we sat down to grab. We were talking about games beforehand.
Yeah.
But old arcade game from 1981 came to Game Boy later. It was just as much fun to play as, I would say, Tetris on Game Boy. One of those kind of mindless games you could play for hours.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as good as Tetris, but it is I do love this game. I have a weird love of this game. Yes.
So basically, you're safe on the line. Some enemies could get you on the line, though.
Yeah. So this new version has a bunch of like crazy stuff going on, right? The original one is the kicks, or what I called it, unfortunately, because I got the name wrong, which the quicks was this like bouncing series of lines that kind of was erratic and tough to predict.
Kind of like this dragon, except not a dragon.
Except not a dragon. Yes.
Oh, man.
I mean, the dragon is unpredictable, but I thought the lines were a little cooler in the original game.
Go get some power-ups.
And I'm surprised there's not like an original version of this on here. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to fill in enough of the map
I can't get over
without dying win, right? So to trap them in, and it gets harder and harder as you build up, and like making bold moves, like that was a bold move right there.
Yeah, so it's not just hitting the ship. It's actually, if it touches your line as it's being drawn, you will
over.
die.
Yes, that's correct. So you would do things like, I would build like weird, as it got harder and harder, I'd build towers like out of the right and a tower out of the left to make like one mad rush between the two towers to fill in like the whole bottom of the map. And you would get more points depending on how much you filled in at once.
I blew it.
And also, too, like if you move out and you stop, or as the game goes on, little sparks happen on the line, so you're being chased as well. So you have to dodge the sparks that are on the line. And also the sparks, if you stop or get hung up as you're out trying to draw your line or try to stop to avoid dying, they'll come after you. Kind of a fuse. And so it's... Okay, I will admit it's part dumb. And I actually didn't... I didn't bring this game up in the meeting. We just talked about this morning because it is one of my personal favorite games, and it would be in my top 300, but I knew that the rest of the office would probably throw things at me. You know, it's one of those things, there's a lot of great games on the 300 list. This game probably doesn't make it, but it is an amazing game, and one that I highly recommend on Game Boy, and I actually think this is kind of I would never play this.
I can't figure out how to claim this power.
I might download I don't know if I would play this, but I might download the soundtrack and put it on my...
Yeah, I was going to say, if we had like a best sound design discussion.
I mean, this version's
top
bad.
10.
This version is bad, but the original game is classic. I think in the way it looks and the way that it plays. You can play it for free. There's like it's a flash. You can find it online for free as a flash game.
It wouldn't be an episode of Replay if we didn't make something you love look terrible.
Yeah, it really wouldn't.
I absolutely see the satisfying hook of shrinking down the map, though,
yeah.
like the arcadey style kind of.
Yeah, and this was an arcade game that I used to play at my brother's fraternity. They would like break into it and make it free, so I'd play it for free for
hours.
hours.
I do love the rush of things like this, where it's like,
oh yeah, when you go out on a limb and you try to do it.
yeah.
I love the percentage counter on this game too.
And the other weird thing here is that the Game Informer, our logo, our like kind of G, like our kind of circuit board G that we use for Game Informer.
We'll show it right now.
It is actually inspired by this game.
What, really?
Yes, that is what.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I wanted, which we never made, but I wanted to make like a version of it that was animated for the opening of our shows and for the website that would have been the noise of the original would be like nee, and then have it be followed by the spark, and then at the very end the spark hit it and explode when you got to the end of the G.
Okay.
So that is actually our G is inspired by this game. Not this one, not this crappy one, but the
Cannot emphasize enough.
you know, because like even the sound effects on this one annoy me, and I love the sound effects in the original game. So that is so annoying. And I don't know why it has these extra things you have to like kind of pick up.
And I don't know how to pick them up.
Oh man. You didn't know this,
Wow.
but the font in Game Informer is inspired by Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Just the basic font is San Andreas font.
What?
No, it's not.
I was like, I knew of. Reiner pulled a fast one on me. No, I did not know that, but that's where that comes from. And so, good idea, bad idea, stupid idea. I don't know which, but I've always
the
used
logo
that,
is awesome.
as the kind of inspiration for that.
And this game is just so unique. Like it stands out from everything else, right? Like,
Well, just because of that noise that is annoying.
no,
as
not
all
this
hell.
version. Just kicks in general.
Yeah, I think it's a really unique game. It's super fun to play. I think it's timeless, definitely in its design.
You're not very good at it. I want to try it.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I'm just sort of dinking around, but
Is there a speed button?
There was in the other one because you could draw a slow box or a fast box, and slow box.
How do I
worth
move?
more?
Okay, circle.
yeah, slow boxes are worth more points.
Ooh.
So the real, like, if you want to get into strategy of this game, at least in the Game Boy one, it's like you go up the middle.
Yeah.
I
And
want to
you
trap these things too, right? To kill them.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can trap and kill them. Yes.
Yeah,
So you want to make a little pen, basically,
sound.
right?
the big one you won't be able to, like, you won't be able to trap.
Oh.
But
I tried to get
Yeah,
him.
the big one you never can trap. I mean, I wish there was a game of this. Is there a version of this on my phone?
What about Switch?
Maybe this
We
version.
should bring it to Switch.
I do remember playing this crappy like mobile game like early, and when the app store was first taking off, where the idea was like you were doing surgery and you were like cutting out, like there were little germs floating around, and you had to like slice with your finger, like you had to make the area smaller and smaller. I remember not liking it.
Oh, that was close.
Oh man, that is kind of cool. How that was like.
It's like a fuse.
Yeah, I like that about this.
That noise. I mean, anyone that worked in this office when they made this game, they must have wanted to like murder everyone.
Oh, it's close.
Yeah.
Yeah, how was that? How did anyone like that tested this was like, yep, everything looks good.
I mean,
And sounds even better.
and I mean, all they had to redo was the original. No one was clamoring for this. No one. Zero people.
I don't know. I wonder if back in the day, if you would have just seen like the simple gameplay of Game Boy like replicated, if you would have felt like Jip or like
Yeah, like how big was the file size on this? Like that kind of stuff was important apparently. Oh, jeez.
Oh, nice one.
Don't be a hero.
Oh, that was close. That was close. That was close. That was close.
What? Why doesn't that hurt me?
I don't know.
I have like a shield.
We don't know.
Maybe that's what it is.
We have no idea.
Shoulder buttons do anything? Analog sticks?
No, I was mashing the buttons. I couldn't.
Kix
figure it
Neo was just out to ruin the franchise.
This is the Bomberman X
Reiner.
of Kix games.
52%. That game's tough.
This was the game that Title
wanna
made
try it,
after
Andy,
the
or no?
Kix creator left.
I
and they
don't
tried
think
to-
I ever want to touch that abomination.
I'll try one more time.
But it also came too was when we talked about games on the list, and that's what brought us to Kix as well. Was Tempest did not make the list, and Tempest is another one of my favorite arcade games from back in the day, along with this one. That if I had an arcade at my house and I could maintain an arcade at my house, Tempest and this would be two of the games that I have in it. Tempest I absolutely love.
I was surprised how well represented arcade games ended up being on our list. Like, there's a ton of them on there. That's cool. Like, they have a big place in the history of games for sure. Sure.
Well, I mean, a lot of them, got to explore some of the like kind of simpler terms of gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think really made a lot of genius games in that
These
time
things.
period due to that. I mean,
And I think another angle to that is that like so many of those games are still fun.
oh yeah, for sure.
Like
I was at the Up Down just the other day, and it was like, wow, look at all these games. And I was actually intimidated by some like Moon Patrol. It's like I used to be good at Moon Patrol, but I remember Moon Patrol is hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think I'm prepared to put my quarter in here because I know
Yeah, just
I'm
looking at
gonna
the
get
demo,
I'm gonna get
It's
owned.
intimidating.
And Defender is super hard, even though that's a classic. I mean, that's Defender.
Still love playing Arkanoid whenever I see that.
Yeah, that's a
one.
great game.
That made our list, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that it did indeed. That is an amazing game. Like good
nice.
cut, good cut. What is that weird like thing shooting at you?
I don't know what's happening. I really don't.
What was this Mud Duck that made this? They ruined the name of Kix.
Yeah.
We just played a couple weeks ago Tetris 2. Have you ever played that?
I probably because I would have been excited about a sequel to Tetris, but I bet it's awful.
They basically changed what the game was. Like, it was more like...
It wasn't bad. It
More
was
like Puyo.
It was
Yeah.
Dr. Mario or Puyo, yeah.
But why would you do that? It's Tetris.
It just seems like a joke. Like, haha, Tetris 2. Yeah, right. It's like, oh, wait, no. It's
Yeah, you can play it.
they did it.
Yeah, marketing 101.
Why is this turned blue?
Because maybe you can use it as a shield. Maybe it
No.
reflects back at the guy in the middle.
Or just, I mean,
I'm just trying to come up with ideas because I think that the guy is stupid.
I love that we can't even beat level 1 of this stupid
It's
game.
hard. Look at that thing.
It's just a dragon.
I do remember, like, in the Game Boy version, the kicks like moved slower, at least in the early levels.
Yeah, I mean, I think because you don't have any sparks chasing after you. I mean, I think what you need to do is make a tree kind of thing. Like don't stop trying to cut out that way. Like go to the middle, and then just start going out in short bursts.
Yeah.
Like, straight up.
Yeah.
Either one. Like you're just trying to make a quarter of the field. Do you know what I'm saying? So now go up again.
There you
All right,
go.
then go up again when he's away. All right, wait. Up, yeah.
No!
Oh, yeah, you made it. All right.
Oh, so yeah, you're critical.
Oh, my God.
There you go. Oh, you got a little greedy, but that's a good
That's a strategy. Let's try that.
And then also too, at that point, if you were getting like things were coming after you, could go back on the other side and just fill in the area you did on the other. But you want to when you fill up a lot of space with giving them room to breathe. As I'm like writing a game facts on this stupid game right now.
It's pro tips, Andy.
Are you sure you don't want to play?
It'll enable you to give more room and have more space as you do it.
Oh, you're about to kill some of those.
And so, and a pro tip, another pro move I would do right here would be I would now shoot off to the right. Go to the right. No, don't do the whole thing.
Oh,
he did it. He did it. I was saying I would build off. I would build off another tree.
Straight up.
Yeah, can you get him the dragon in there?
Do it. Be good.
Go.
No, straight up. Oh. There you go. There you go. The strat's at play.
Oh, I like this game now. This does look cool.
All right, that
That
like a good
was
place
so
to stop.
exciting. Oh, a new background, I bet?
What? That is not a kit.
What is that thing?
This game continues to make me angry.
I know. Angry box. Ooh, Angry box shoots
Oh, no.
projectiles?
It's like, hey, remember Thwomp? Let's make a game where it can move for some reason.
I want to know what picture I'm
What a
drawing.
pitch.
Same sound, I'm glad.
Yeah.
You know what?
Thank God they never changed
If it
that.
ain't broke.
Oh, he went for it. Oh, look at all those points.
There's got to be a version of this game where you're actually like, where the space you fill in is like some picture in the back, like a real picture, not just some techno background.
Oh, that's not a real picture?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I'm sure there's someone somewhere that turned it into where you make like offensive photos in the back. I'm sure
Oh.
there's some mod somewhere.
Wow, how'd you like to be the guy who's like, you know what? I'm gonna mod kicks so you can see some naked person in it. Huh?
Exactly. I'm not lonely.
There just needs to be games for adults.
Oh, there
too.
you go. That's a good cut. Now it's tight. And that guy's angry.
He's super pissed off. He's getting smaller.
Oh,
he is.
his projectiles coming
He's
at
getting
you.
faster, though.
You
So
can do
it's
it.
Like,
Just cut across.
What if you go down the middle? How does it decide which?
You got to get to
side
75%, I think. So you just need a couple little cuts. I think will be acceptable. Oh, I'm wrong.
Whatever side the kicks is on is the side that stays unfilled.
Okay. Who's the kicks?
The big thing.
The big thing. And the other one, it was much simpler. Like I said, it was a bouncing kind of rainbow.
no, you little bastard.
The Game Boy one also had versions where it was like a level might have 2 kicks on it.
Yes. Yeah.
So then like I think you got special points if you could like split.
You could split them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is some advanced strategy to this game. It's got its thing.
Continue. You have selected? No.
No.
You have selected no.
Hey, high score. You beat out Tuck and Oki.
Oh, MTJ's got you owned though.
Mary Jane?
Mary Thomas Jane.
Yeah.
Well, that was a trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
That wasn't a trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
That was a trip like next to memory lane.
That is
running parallel.
that is the perfect replay trip down memory lane.
That was Memory Lane Court.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Andy. We'll see you
Yeah,
next
for sure.
week for another pick. We'll look at another couple games from the 300 list.
Fingers crossed for Mist.
And Kyle,
I mean, you just want
Joe.
to make me angry. Yeah, we can do an angry. We'll do an
we
angry
will.
replay.
We will do an angry replay one of these days. And Leo Vader and all of you for watching. We'll see you in 7 days.